Welcome everybody to the Sim Experience 2022 Alwin British Touring Car Championship, coming to you for round 3 live from Knockhill Racing Circuit in Scotland. This is going to be one of the most challenging races, I believe, of the season. It's definitely not the easiest of tracks. It's a fairly short circuit at just over 2 kilometers long, but very challenging with its undulations and its really extremely tight chicanes with the barriers as you go over crests. So we have exclusive access to this circuit tonight, and you'll see we even have Alwin sponsorship throughout the circuit. So thank you very much to Dave or Laser Cutter for your extremely amazing talent at creating the circuit and giving us exclusive rights to it to enjoy the privilege of the circuit. So massive thanks to Dave. This is definitely going to be one for the books, I hope. So let's have a look at the actual circuit. I, of course, am your host, Dennis Mitchell. I'm just waiting for Sean Woodgate to join. He's not here yet, so hopefully he'll be with us shortly. But in the meantime, I'm just going to run you guys through the build-up to everything. So at the moment, we are round 3 for Knockhill. We will be next week, hopefully, will be round 4 from Thruxton. Round 5 will be from Oulton Park. Round 6 will be from Assen. Round 7 will be from Croft. And the final round 8, will be from Brands Hatch. Then also, just to explain the point system, not everyone knows the point system. So first place gets 20 points, second place 17, third 15, fourth 13, fifth 11, sixth 10, and then it goes down in a single point until 15th gets 1 point, 16th gets 0. There's also a point up for grabs for pole position and a point for the fastest lap. So also our point system has been updated because of the issues we had last week on the server. Our championship currently has a double drop round implemented. So basically you could drop your 2 worst races, not your worst round, sorry. So that could be a race from the first round or a race from the last round. So what we did because of last week's issues, we've now given the drivers 3 drop rounds. So the server automatically has deducted them straight away. So our current point system is effectively for everyone having their best race so far. So in first place we have Jean-Andre Dutoy on 22 points. Basil van Rijn in second on 22 points. He's only in second because overall his points are slightly less than Jean-Andre, or he's had different other advantages. Andrew Hollom in third on 21 points. Jason Underwood in fourth on 21 points. Aid Allen in fifth on 19 points. Chris Collison in sixth, 18 points. Jean-Andre Dupinard also 18 points in seventh. Richard Cilliers, 15 points. Andre Besson on 15 points. Monet Dutoy on 13 points. Gilly Silva on 13 points. Brandon Roberts on 12 points. Andre Hildebrandt on 10 points. Hilton Nickerson on 9 points. And Dani Stander on 8 points. So that is our current championship standings. Then also just a reminder of the cars that the drivers are chosen or given the choice of driving. We have a front wheel drive and a rear wheel drive. So we have the Toyota Corolla, which is our front wheel drive car. We have the Infiniti Q50, which is our rear wheel drive car. Both cars have about 400 newton meters of torque. They're roughly the same weight, although the graph here says 1270 for the Toyota. It's actually been given a 5 kilogram increase since that. And horsepower is slightly more on the Toyota, but the tire wear is higher on the Toyota, and the Infiniti will come strong as the race progresses. Both have a 6-speed sequential gearbox. So I can hear the cars in the background, so let's jump to our qualifying live. Perhaps we can get rid of that and go live. Right, so we are live, officially live now for qualifying. 15 minutes of qualifying for round 3 out of our 8-round championship, as we see someone in the background going off. That is Willem Steen. I'm sure he will pit and straight away head back out as we see the drivers heading out, and we can see the Alwin sponsorship on the right on one of the pit buildings there. You'll see that there again on the left on the grass. Throughout the track it's going to be shown, which is absolutely fantastic. Alright, so perhaps I should get some desktop audio for you so you guys can actually hear everything. Sorry, just had to clear my throat quickly. So hopefully Sean will be joining us at some point. He's not here yet, and I'm not sure if he said he wouldn't be here tonight. If you did, I'm sorry and I apologize. I don't remember. But hopefully he'll be joining us soon. But in the meantime, perhaps we can get up our live timings, get everything up and running, and show you guys what's happening. So while we're waiting for all that to happen, I'm going to perhaps just get that up and running for us. At least we can see who's who and what's what. So currently 22 drivers on track. As we see Gilly Silver getting a bit loose. This track is absolutely fantastic when you get it right, but it is terrifying when you get it wrong. It is so easy to do that. Just a slight bit of incorrect throttle or brake application as you're coming down. The car is unsettled from the weight. It's getting compressed or lightened over the crest. And that happens. You see Morris and Blake now carrying too much speed, running wide, and oh, he slides way off. Hopefully the Kitty Litter will stop him before the barrier and there'll be no damage, but it looks like he's going to hit the barrier. And there goes the rear wing over the barrier. So that'll be a pit excursion. And another one hits the barrier. That's Hilton Nickerson, Team ECGT. We see lots of the drivers losing it. They're going to be struggling as the grip comes and goes. So currently we have Brandon Roberts on provisional pole and a 50.8. That's a very good lap so far. We have seen fast in the practice, but in qualifying that is a very good lap. Remember, they all have traffic, so we'll be watching them. We see Jason waiting for a bit of clear space. I presume just getting everything up to temperature as he rounds the final turn, I think it is. Yes, that is the final turn. In the background, I believe we saw Aid Allen heading into the pits just to do a quick reset. And we see Hilton again losing it. I presume that's again not the same replay. It should, I guess, be a different one at this point. Underhill bunt is running slightly wide onto the Kitty Litter on the side there. Nice one, Beck now losing it slightly. And I'm sure into the barrier. Yes. Fantastic looking skin. Of course, most of our skins have been created by Rian van der Westhuizen, so thank you, Rian, once again. Fantastic work with the skin creation. Some of the, oh yeah, some impact as we see Aid going off. Another car obviously hit a barrier or something when we heard it, a crunching sound. This is definitely going to be a car cruncher of note. As we see some drivers unfortunately impeding some drivers coming down the straight. This particular part of the track is my favorite. This chicane right here, the way the car, you hop it over the curbs. And for those that don't know, these cars race here in real life. This is a track that they drive at this kind of pace in these same insane manners of hopping curbs and things. In fact, in real life it looks almost worse. They really are brave to be throwing the cars around here in real life the way that they do. It must be quite terrifying, but quite exciting as well. See several of the drivers. I believe that's Julian and Bryce. We're just trying to get the car spun around. So, just over 8 minutes left. It looks like someone has just joined the server. Another 2 drivers have joined. So 24 drivers currently. Unfortunately, Timo Smith is not here. He unfortunately has hardware issues, so hopefully Timo will be able to scramble and get in at the last moment, as we see Marius now losing it again. As the camera catches up. Interesting shot of his skin there. Nice close-up of it, and we see a replay of the same incident again. So currently 24 drivers on track. It looks like Timo is in, so Timo has made it. I hadn't actually noticed that he was in, so apologies for that. But it looks like Chris Collison is not in at the moment, so Chris still, I believe, having issues with hardware. Hopefully Chris will get sorted out fairly soon. So 24 drivers around this track, it's going to be extremely difficult. Hopefully tonight's second race will be a proper rolling start, unlike last week's mistake that happened. As we now currently see Timo Smith on track in his Minions car. Not sure why we're seeing things popping up in the background there, apologies for that. I think perhaps I can jump to a second screen in a moment. Maybe have a look at, I believe this is Andre Hildebrandt that we're on board with, and we can watch just how terrifying the lap is around this circuit. Now, what's happening in the background, I can hopefully change a setting that might have been causing some of our issues. Alright, so we've seen a little bit of the onboard from Andre. Let's head back to our main camera, which hopefully now works alright. Hopefully we don't have the issues we just had. It looks like we're now up to 25 drivers on circuit. We have Flynn Faraday has also just joined. George Hall has joined. So, just over 5 minutes left to go. I'm feeling kind of lonely in the commentary booth without Sean tonight. I'm so used to having Sean with and having his expert commentary. So Jandre de Toy from 8 Allen currently, and Basil van Rijn. A bit of an issue there. These cars do get airborne, but not that much. I'm not sure why it's doing that. That's I think a replay issue where it shows it like that. Oh, Willem Steyn losing it there, unfortunately. Yeah, some oddities with the different sims. This sim, when it does a replay, it sort of catches up. As it changes to the view, it catches up and then it sort of settles down. And at the moment, the camera system we're using on the one side of things, it's using automated. On the other side, it's manual. So the automated side tends to do these weird things. So apologies for that. But the combination of the two helps usually in the race. So fingers crossed tonight is a fairly decent race. Not sure why those overlay things keep popping up. I have disabled them, but they don't want to go away. Seems like every time we do some stream, there's something that will come up that's just not right. Anyway, one day we'll have a perfect stream. So perhaps with 3.5 minutes left to go, we can have a quick YouTube look. So we can see Lynn Sevenson saying hi everyone, Gary Johnson saying hi Dennis, hello Gary, George Hall saying, what time is qualifying? Well, you're in now, so I guess I don't need to remind you. Rudy van der Westhuizen saying, hi Dennis, and good luck to all. So Rudy, I gather you're not racing tonight? Hope to see you back next week. I know this is a tough circuit, maybe some of the drivers have decided to take a break. It's a difficult circuit. Hopefully we'll have everyone back next week. So while we're watching some of the drivers heading off, I am going to see if I can get to a different view. And hopefully we can get an onboard of someone just to see what it's like. So since currently we have Gary Johnson in the comments, let's do an onboard with Sean Johnson. Hopefully Sean keeps it on the tarmac, you can see his lines, see what he's doing. Sean of course is in an Infinity, going over my favourite part of the track, flying over the curbs there. Very, very difficult in the Infinity because it does get very loose there and you can easily lose it. There as well, the back end can step out very, very quickly. So just under 2 minutes left to go. We see Sean heading down towards the final corner. Pardon the brakes. This will be, I believe, down to second gear. Nice and neat on his entry there. And we'll see the first corner, which we hadn't quite got to in time. We had just passed it before we went live with them. You cut over the pit exit. Well, usually you cut over the pit exit line there. Cut the curbs as much as you can. You can hop the curbs, get wide to the left and cut back. Ooh, slightly missed the apex there and unfortunately onto the dirt. Yeah, so a fantastic track. Absolutely marvelous to drive. Definitely not an easy track. So a minute left to go. 24 drivers currently qualified. So the Toy currently in pole position from Basil van Rijn and now Andre Besson up into third. Oh, as we see one of the P7 guys. Oh, that's Jandre. Our pole sitter obviously trying a little bit extra and that was it. And I guess that's his final attempt over. He won't have enough time to get around and get out again. So he got that all wrong. Bang, into the barrier. Lots of drivers pushing the limits in qualifying and losing it. And see the car hops over the curb, gets airborne. And in real life the cars hop there pretty amazingly as well. They get all four wheels off the ground there. This is probably the most challenging circuit that the drivers race throughout the season. The way Basil did that there is perfect, but very difficult to do. Hop the curb, get the car just turning and rotating just enough in the first hop, and when it lands you have it aiming for the next apex. You get it wrong though, then you're in the barrier. And Basil is slightly up. He's currently our provisional pole sitter. So while I'm talking, he's done a 50.014. So Dutoy is now demoted down to second. Jason Underwood has now popped up into third place. So fantastic there from Jason. So this could be a good title fight for the top three drivers. Those are pretty much our top drivers for the championship at the moment. Alright, so let's head over to an ad break. We'll be back shortly. Alright, welcome back everybody. So we are here now for the official race. I am your commentator Dennis Mitchell. Hopefully I'll be joined by Sean Woodgate shortly, but we are here for race 1 of the 2022 Alwin British Touring Car Series, coming to you live from Knockhill Racing Circuit in Scotland. This is round 3 of our 8-round championship. Just to let you know, that is our calendar for the season, our schedules. But while we have that up at the moment, perhaps I can get rid of that. And we can maybe then just show you our qualifying. While the drivers are heading out on their formation lap. So, in pole position we have Basil van Rijn from Jean-Ray du Toit, Jason Underwood and Andre Besson. In 5th place we have Aid Allen, Jan-Ray Duppenaar, Monet du Toit and Brandon Robert in 8th place. Ninth place Andrew Holland, 10th Richard Cilliers, 11th Gilly Silver and in 12th Timo Smit. 13th Julian Bryce, 14th Bjorn Buchner, 15th Andre Hildebrandt and in 16th Peter Murray. 17th place Willem Steyn, 18th place Hilton Nickerson, 19th place Rian van der Westhuizen and 20th place Stan Bezuidenhout. 21st place Sean Johnson, 22nd Marius van Wyk, the Vessel in 23rd and George Hall in 24th. I believe that is all of our drivers. Right, the drivers will now slowly line up on the grid. Of course, our championship is brought to us by Alwin Automotive Glass. You can head over to www.alwin.co.za if you have any automotive glass or aluminium requirements, and head over and speak to Hilke. Right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, get ready to go. And we're away. Hopefully a clean start for everyone. Drivers already have contact at the start. That's going to be causing chaos. One of the drivers moving over on another, and that caused an issue. So Basil van Rijn nice and clean. Let's see what it was. It looks like Brandon Robert having a slow start and the car on his outside. He tried to give him the squeeze and that's caused the incident. That's what happens if you try and squeeze drivers in tight packs like this. That's why you should not do it. So the carnage happening throughout the field there. Many cars caught up in the carnage, unfortunately. So that, I believe, was a issue caused by Brandon, which might end up with a penalty later on. Peter Murray, unfortunately, without a wing, maybe involved in that. Does not have the downforce there and into the barrier. We might see lots of drivers tonight heading for the pits for repairs. It's going to be a race for survival. Right, let's get our leaderboard up so we can see how the positions are unfolding at the moment. So Basil van Rijn from Jean-Ray du Toit and Andre Besson. 4th place, Jason Underwood having lost a place at the start. Then we have Jan-Ray Duppenaar, then Aid Allen, then Monet du Toit. Then Andrew Holland. Here we see Rian van der Westhuizen just running slightly wide and off into the barrier. Of course, he was involved in that incident, so maybe there's some damage to the car. So we'll have to see how the guys survive throughout and where they end up finishing. Remember, it's a 20-minute race, so they need to get to the end. So Brandon Roberts trying to recover now. He's in 15th place. Looking for a way past Marius van Wyk. Oh, Marius runs wide there. So now on board is Timo Smit in 10th place. The gap out front is slowly increasing. It looks like the battle for second is going to be hotting up very, very soon. Perhaps we can have a look at that shortly. While we're watching the main action on track, see the pass happening there. Jason heading up the inside there, taking 3rd place. Nicely done by Jason on Andre Besson there. We saw it from both camera angles there. Jason now heavily under threat from Andre. Let's see if I can get a different view. Maybe we can see from Jason's point of view looking back. Right, we have the main camera watching Andre. In the top right we have the rear facing camera of Jason Underwood. I believe the main camera is actually focusing in on the leaders ahead, which are pretty close at the moment as well. So perhaps we can have a look at that while we're watching the other battles. So all to play for tonight, lots happening. And we have Sean with us. Good evening, Sean.
Dennis. You just get myself in picture as well.
Well, welcome. As my principal used to say, better late than never.
Yeah, I did say that I'm going to be busy with the neighborhood watch initially, but luckily that's just finished. And it looks like I've only missed about 3 or 4 minutes.
Yes, I remember you saying that would happen at some round. I couldn't remember if it was this round, so I did actually say at the start that I wasn't sure if this is the round, but apologies if it was, and it was.
Not a problem.
I have my screen sharing if you need to see it.
I've got it.
Right.
And interesting, tight little circuit this.
Absolutely amazing. This part where the drivers are heading over now, I love that part. The way the cars hop and the way they do it in real life, that must be absolutely the most enthralling thing for a racing driver to do that at full tilt.
Yeah, I'm not sure what setup is capable on all these cars, but you certainly have to run the car a little bit higher off the road than what you normally would do, similar to what happens with the blue gums at the back straight at Killarney, the effect of the uneven surface.
As we see Marius van Wyk heading for the barrier, I believe that's the second time. Looks like he's managed to get away with it.
And also nice change of elevation, not radical like Kyalami has, but I think that the drivers enjoy having an uphill and a downhill section to the track.
Yes, it's a much shorter track at just over 2 kilometers. So I think the undulations maybe aren't as drastic, but maybe in a smaller space it feels more drastic while driving.
Yeah, that's much the same length as what the old Swartkops, just for comparison, the old Swartkop circuit that used to go around the drive-in, that used to be 2 kilometers to get an idea of how quick this track is one lap completed.
Yes. So while we are watching, the main battle out front is starting to get quite heated. So we have Basil van Rijn currently being challenged by Jean-Louis de Toy. So I have the dual screens up at the moment, which top right we have Basil van Rijn. He's actually just got a slight tap from his teammate there as they were passing one of the back markers.
Back markers always make a race interesting. Nice car, that number 69 in the Jack Daniels colours.
Yes, that's Rian van der Westhuizen. Absolutely fantastic looking skin.
And then in the Gunston colours just ahead of him. You can recognise that anyway.
Oh, two really fantastic old school liveries that look fantastic.
Yeah, and of course you have the choice of using them here, which probably wouldn't be as allowable in real life.
Yes, I'm sure in real life they'd have to have all sorts of permissions and licensing rights and everything.
Yeah, but this is sim racing, so we can, well, I couldn't say do exactly as we please, but they certainly do make for good looking cars, and for those of us that have a bit of nostalgia, it certainly does make it very interesting. I'm surprised nobody else has gone for something like a Lucky Strike colour or something like that yet. So
yes, well, we've got the Castrol colours, which is kind of the same sort of era, so maybe someone at some point will use Lucky Strike. Maybe you'll give them an idea.
Yeah, so they were also very popular in racing of days gone by, but certainly look at this, just a slight, I think it must be really that bit that they sort of go down and up. It's on the replay that I'm actually looking at, or on the YouTube channel, so it's not the live picture, but there's a portion like now that just a bit that parts, not this crossing the start finish line, that you must get really compressed into your seat. Car must have good mechanical grip at that point, but other points where you're actually cresting and then turning, the car gets light on you, which makes it probably a bit difficult on the tyres, and also prone to understeer.
Yes. I was actually watching this, we've been hearing the drivers complaining about the tyres and how they go. I was watching a YouTube channel of someone explaining why the tyres go so much, and apparently it's got to do with steering input. So the drivers are maybe turning too much, wearing the front tyres too hard. So that's a tip for the drivers. It's perhaps the amount of steering lock that they're putting on is also wearing their tyres too fast.
Yeah. So a yellow flag in sector 2 I see. That sector that they're going through now as well, that one is actually a down and then a left-hander. So there you'll have plenty of grip. The section that they're going through now as well, also plenty of grip in that dip. But then the crest that they're just going over now, there the car's going to be light again as they're turning. Well, it's not a corner, it's more of a sweep. So they're going to take that pretty flat out.
One thing we're seeing here is that drivers are coming through the back markers, and the back markers are not making it easy for them.
And the track is narrow. Even if you have a forgiving back marker, there's hardly enough space for two cars next to each other.
Yes, definitely not an easy track to pass on, even with someone that's willing to help.
Here we've got an in-car looking forward at Jason Underwood. That's, I think, in number 33. Is that Basson? So is that track part of the track that I like, that I say you probably get squashed. So there's, and pushing in off the, yeah, and that's number 33. It is Basson using the road and then a bit more, if I got my numbers right.
Yes, I think just going for the slight lunge, the door was slightly open and he stuck his nose in there, and unfortunately couldn't quite get the car to grip and turn in enough, and just understeered slightly into Jason.
Yeah.
Unfortunately knocking Jason off, but he did at least wait for Jason.
Okay, so the system will probably not be too strict on him, but it means that the guys ahead of them can get away.
Yes.
So that'll be Van Rijn and De Toy, and previously the gap was 1.5 seconds. It's probably going to be more than that now.
Oh, as we see that Rian van der Westhuizen almost losing it on the final turn as he gets on the throttle, as we do see Marius van Wyk losing it.
Yeah. Seems to squash down on the suspension and then go bouncing around. Marius running in the bottom quarter of the field, if we would call it that, and he's going to be probably even further down now after this excursion.
You see the cars hopping.
Do they actually get off the ground when they crest that corner there?
In real life, they get completely airborne, and in this, they also do, yes.
Yes, it looks stunning to see them go around there, but I must imagine that it's a bit of a nightmare to drive, because you've got to get the car pointing in the direction that you would like it to go when it makes contact with the road at the other end again.
Yes.
That's quite a big bang there for number 77, Van Wyk. So I'm not sure whether he'll be off to pits to repair for that one.
Yeah, the superbikes race around here, they also get quite airborne, and it must be quite hair-raising on a superbike. I mean, a car, at least you know you're inside a thin can, but on a superbike, yeah. It must be something else.
It's like watching the Isle of Man.
Yes.
I think as they get on a ferry or something, they leave their brains at home, and then they arrive at the Isle of Man with an empty shell for a skull, and then they go racing. They have no fear, and if you look at the distances that they're away from hedges and walls and all that sort of thing, and they are flat out. There's a section of circuit that's nice and, well, it's not nice and bumpy, that is fairly bumpy. There's Timo, and nice to see that all the cars now have the number of the name on the back, which makes commentary very easy when you go in car with the car behind. These two is that one of the Castrol cars?
Yes, that's Gilly Silver.
He's a piece of track.
I think with the Stan Bezedner trying to get out the way there, he holds some of them up, and I think some have decided to take an advantage there.
That's number 33, Basson, that was involved in that earlier excursion. That portion that they've just gone past now, where they actually put the left wheel off, maybe it's just my eyes deceiving me, but it actually looks as if that's quite a decent dip when you sort of leave the tar, and that might not be that good for the suspension itself when you catch that dip. So we'll see where the guys are going to. There's somebody else going off the end and get the number. But the spectators in the car lube stand, they certainly have something to look at.
So currently we have quite a few closest battles because of everything that's happening. One of our drivers that's doing pretty well at the moment, I'm going to just transition slightly to him so you won't see this unless you're looking at the YouTube channel. We're looking back from Andrew Holland at the moment at Timo Smit. Timo, just before this round, was having issues with his pedals. His throttle pedal had packed up, so he had to transfer his clutch pedal to his throttle pedal, and he managed to actually get in just in time. He wasn't sure about his pace, but currently he's sitting in 6th place, so not doing too bad.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting how he carries on and whether he's going to be able to change it between races. What has the decision been during the week for the second race? Rolling start, standing start?
We're going with rolling start again, but what we're doing tonight is we're using 2 servers, so the second server is pre-set up, so hopefully we don't have the issue we had last week. So basically when they finish on this server, they leave it, they join the new server, which will then be up and running for them, and away we go.
That'll be great. So make it a lot more exciting.
Yes. Yeah, I think the rolling start will definitely give a bit more excitement to it.
And with a reverse grid, of course.
Yes, with a full reverse grid, yes.
And with a tight circuit like this, with not much space to pass, and you're not going to get blue flags to help you, so certainly it's going to be a very exciting second race.
We do have a penalty carrying over from last week for Bjorn Buchner. He's supposed to have 2 race starts from the back of the grid. Unfortunately, the first start it didn't work, so he will get a race 2 back of the grid start, and then he'll have another back of the grid race start for next week.
Okay, so the system is becoming quite strict, which is interesting to see, and also the discussion that we had last week, the difference between actually taking a qualifying line and taking a racing line, knowing that there's somebody up the inside of you. So Silver involved in a nice battle there. The 2 of them go bouncing along all over the circuit. There are battles all over this field as we watch on the YouTube channel the replay, and certainly they are fighting at each other. The Castrol car ahead of, I think, Silver's car, making it stick just before they get to that slight left-hand sweep.
The Castrol car, definitely my favorite skin out of the bunch.
Yeah. It's number 14, and that's Silver's car. I think was that involved, that was fighting it out. Well, they seem to be on different, in the old picture they are in 7th and 8th, or 8th and 7th now if they've swapped around. And the number 36 car is beside note.
Having a nice battle with our other favourite skin of the Jack Daniels car, Rian van der Westhuizen.
Yeah. And it's unusual to see them down as far as what they are, but they're swapping around all the time. And that's of course what makes a tight circuit like this. You don't think because you have a position that you're going to keep it for much longer. but the back markers being caught and passed by the leaders certainly makes the race very interesting, as there's not much space. Number 84 Smith was involved with them as well a little bit earlier and trying to get through traffic.
Just looking at our YouTube channel, sorry to cut you off there, we have
No
Chris
problem.
Collison, one of our drivers, saying that he's not here tonight because of the British Motor Show today. So hope you enjoyed that, Chris. Hopefully it's a good one. He's saying go team harder. And Gary Johnson saying good luck to Sean. Karen Yus saying good luck everyone. Rudy van der Westhuizen saying team PZM. And George Hall having a problem with his volume, asking if he can rejoin. So I presume he did.
Yeah, I had to. There's definitely no problem with the volume on the YouTube channel, because I joined and had that loud and clear in my ears until you streamed for me, which is the picture that I'm watching again. And then I have sort of the YouTube channel on my second monitor as a replay if I missed something the first time round.
A fantastic battle here between Rian van der Westhuizen and Stan Bezuidenhout. So even though they're further down the field, still some good battles going on.
And that's often where you find that people, they might not be in point scoring position, but they're still giving it everything they can for the position that they're on the track.
Yes.
So, and they're slowing each other down, and they're actually running wide. Number 36 is Stan Bezuidenhout, and he's going to give up that position. Well, not that he wanted to, but just the way that physics works, and then he'll have to fight it all over again. So a nice, interesting battle there. They hop over that crest of that, and you just see it so realistically. A bit of a lock-up there on the inside right wheel of the Jack Daniels car, I think it was.
And when you speak about the track and how fantastic this track is, it's a very short track and it's definitely a driver's circuit. It's super fun to drive. And we can say thanks to Dave, or who's known to the sim modding community as Laser Cutter, for giving us exclusive rights to this track. You'll even see around the track there's some Alwin logos as we go past the pits. There's Alwin logos on the pits, Alwin logos on the side there on the grass, Alwin logos on banners on the side. So thank you very much to Dave and for promoting all the Alwin stuff, as unfortunately we see a bit of contact between Stan and Rian.
It's that dip off the road that I was talking about, and he actually got the left tires into the dip, and I think that meant the car went out of control, and it's out of control from the system at the moment as well. Hopefully it gets it pointing in the right direction, but it actually threw the car into a totally different line than I think he was wanting it to go, and that was the net result thereof.
Yes.
With less, 2.5 minutes on to go?
No, we're now into our final seconds, so we're now race over now, so as the drivers now come across the line. That will be it for race 1, so everyone as they cross the line, that will be their final position.
Okay, then for some reason or other tonight YouTube is a little bit far behind what's happening on circuit. But certainly Underwood in car number 2, and I'm just trying to see who it is, his teammate that just behind him. Is it Holland?
It's Holland, yes.
Yeah, they'll be doing very well for their team for points scoring tonight, running in. They're not on the podium, or Underwood, no, he's also probably not on the podium. They might be just off the podium, but the two combined will do very well for the team.
I think race 2 is going to be quite an exciting race. As we see the checkered flag out and the drivers crossing the line now. So Basil van Rijn does indeed take race 1 victory from Jean-Ray Dutoy.
One corner they go through that right-hander, you get airborne, and then the corner immediately thereafter is where you get squished into your seat at the bottom of the hill, and that's a left-hander. So I think your neck muscles holding the helmet upright probably take a lot of work if you drive this track real time.
Yes. Here we see a shot now of Peter Murray coming across the line. He'll take 20th place, which is effectively last place because he's the last driver to finish the race, which means he will then be in pole position.
Right, and certainly it's going to be interesting. We saw last weekend that the person in pole position actually get a penalty right towards the end, but certainly stayed in the lead for a long, long time.
Alright, so we're going to go to an ad break quickly while we set the grid for race 2. So stay with us. We'll be back as soon as possible, probably in about 5 to 10 minutes. Alright, welcome back everybody. We are back for race 2 of our 2022 Alwin British Touring Car series for round 3 and race 2 of round 3. I am your commentator Dennis Mitchell, joined once again by Sean Woodgate tonight.
Good evening everybody. What an interesting race we saw the first time around. Now it's with a reverse grid and a rolling start, and that's certainly going to make it very interesting because the quicker guys that are now at the back of the field will have to get through under race conditions, no blue flags because they're passing for position. The track is narrow, the track is short, it's bumpy. That's going to be an interesting one to see who actually finishes. I think it's going to be a race not necessarily of attrition, but more one of survival to hold on to, and you might see a result unexpected where some of the guys that were slower in race 1 might actually have a good finish in race 2.
Yes, so starting in pole we have Peter Murray and Sean Johnson in second place on the grid, as we see the drivers heading out behind the safety car as the grid order is showing. I haven't gone through it, so I'm just letting it roll in the background. Of course, this is race 2, it is a rolling start, so the safety car will pull in, the drivers will pace themselves until they get to the line. They have to stay in order until they get to the line, otherwise they will get penalties. The drivers that finish with DNFs, they start at the back, they don't get promoted in the reverse grid, and of course we have the one driver with a penalty being Bjorn Buchner, starting at the back of the grid. Alright,
This is quite short, so it doesn't give you much time to run through the grid.
Yes. Right, so we now go into everything and prepare for everything, all the action. The gloves will come off, I'm sure. This is likely to be an entertaining race.
The grid has formed up really nicely for a rolling start.
Yes, I think the guys are starting to get the hang of it. I think with a bit of practice they start to figure it all out.
And also with a narrow track like this, there's not much weaving happening because there's not really much space to weave. But here we go for start.
Yep. Alright, the safety car's in, the drivers are off.
Right, already they are jostling for position. This is probably the best place to do it, as we have in one place, I think 4 cars abreast coming down into that right-left combination. The right-hander is the car light, and then the left-hander at the bottom of the car is compressed onto the springs again. But at this stage, from what we can see, everybody's made it out. I'm surprised. Well managed. There's one car off one side and off the other side. That's an Infinity. But still got back on track, and still everybody's in this race. So they really are listening to what you've said in driver's briefing and sticking to the rules and giving each other a little bit of leeway and not taking themselves out on lap 1.
It just shows it can be done.
Yes.
We see a move here with Gilly up the inside. I believe that's Brandon. We see Julian as well. Cars nice and side by side. 2 cars side by side ahead. 2 cars side by side in shot as well with Monet, I think, and Brandon. And Julian, and I'm not sure who that was. Is that Monet? I believe 777, one of our airlines.
Yeah, we have a 737 and we have a 777. We were discussing it in the break between races whether they actually, out of choice, took their race numbers to be named after Boeing aircraft.
Getting really sideways and getting a car on 2 wheels there over the curbs.
Yeah, looking very good.
So all action at the moment for the drivers. We have 23 drivers. It looks like Flynn was the only driver that didn't make the start. So Peter Murray is still heading the field from Sean Johnson. This is the beauty of a proper rolling start. When it's clean, it gives the guys at the back a chance. So we have Peter Murray leading a race that, you know, is not something that he would have thought of otherwise. But there he is.
It's a tap or driver error, but certainly the Jack Daniels car going off there now. And that is car number 69. Is that Richard van
der Westhuizen? Yes.
Yeah. So certainly not the way he would have liked to start. So that's the first off that we've had, and we've been going for quite a while already. Yes. Great stuff.
Yeah, the drivers driving nice and clean in this race. Good to see. I think they're aware that this track is dangerous.
Yeah, the track actually gets to bite. I think first and second.
I saw a car in the background starting to bite off. One of the Team Harder Racing Infinities going backwards into a barrier.
That's not nice. Oh, there you, I think in the replay you see it airborne off one of the circuit, one of the corners.
It looks like it's Andrew Holland.
Yeah, he's not going to like that. Is it that red curbing that actually did it there? No, it's actually the corner for that.
I think he actually clipped the tyre barrier on the inside.
Yeah. The old Kyalami configuration coming just before you come, where you leave the circuit to get into the pits. There was that funny little S that they put in with a pile of tires there, and until somebody hit them, and the tires rolled into the circuit, and they actually did more damage. So they had to have a bit of a rethink about that.
Oh, sorry about that. Clicked on the wrong thing there.
Now that was Andrew Hollam. He certainly had a moment. There's a few drivers taking the scenic agricultural route on the grass, and I think one of them is in the Gunston colours. So that's not going to do you any good. Yeah, what I was going to say just now is that that lost it all on its own. That's different. Yeah, he was all. There was nobody in front or behind him, so I think he just got that corner completely wrong. But what I was saying is, I think that was evasive action being taken by the Gunston car, and that's why he went the agricultural route. So the guys running in front at the moment were not in the, well, they were back markers in the first race. But now with all the congestion behind them, there's actually 3 sets of cars running. I think it's the 2 in the lead. They seem to have gotten away a little bit. Then there's a gap. Then there's a midfield pack. And then there's a bit of a gap again. And then there's the guys running at the back of the field. So still a long time to go, but interesting racing nonetheless. Now the guys seem to be getting a little bit over-exuberant, but I think all on their own. I don't think there's been much argy-bargy amongst competitors, but certainly the track, if you're not on the racing line, I think the curbs are very, at race speed, the curbs are very unforgiving.
So at the moment we have Peter Murray still in the lead.
What's his gap there, Dennis?
I believe 5 seconds. It's just at the 5-second mark. So he's pulling away slightly from Sean Johnson. Sean Johnson just holding off at the moment, with Gilly Silver hot on his heels at the moment.
And Sean Johnson was third from last with Bjorn Buchner behind, well, between them the last time round, but Bjorn got penalty, so Bjorn is way at the back. They were actually last and second last if one ignores Bjorn in the first race. So just goes to show, as you said, with all the happenings behind them, they've actually had a break.
Yes.
Well, that corner, you don't want to get the wrong line on that corner. I don't actually know where they've ended up. Once you go off that corner, you end up on the opposite side of the track, going the wrong way.
I believe so, yes.
Yes. You go effectively right through the circuit to the other side. But you got to. Here's another track where you see where they actually use the pit lane exit to make it a bit wider. Or is this positions 3, 4, 5, and 6 that are now fighting out with each other?
It looks like it, yes. It looks like Timo was able to manage to get through there, but he's just been passed again. So yeah, lots of argy-bargy, but they managed to all line up straight afterwards, so they managed to survive it.
Yeah. So, and that'll mean again that Murray is going to get even further ahead, Murray and Johnson, with them fighting it out amongst each other. It's going to, as I said, you might be in for a surprise if you see what the results are going to look like. And then, of course, the combined results for the race day, points allocation, and the podium, it might be interesting. So Timo number 84 there is trying everything he can to catch up the position, to see where he ended in race 1. In race 1, Timo Smith was in P6. So certainly very different in this race.
And doing very well actually at the moment to be P8.
Yeah, to get through all that traffic from the back. A nice big field as well to see, well, 23 column, 23 cars that start, as I get my mind thinking something and saying it, which is not actually what I intended to do. To have them all in the same column and all active, but I think Andrew Hollam is potentially, is he serving a penalty? Car number 54, or did he serve a penalty?
No, I believe that's probably repairs from his car. He had been into the pits for repairs after his barrier excursion.
Okay. So, yeah, some guys taking the defensive racing line, shall we call it that, and in so doing, having fast drive past them left, right, and almost centre.
Now, this is interesting seeing this. We have our leaders coming through, guys that are usually at the front being lapped, but guys that are usually at the back.
Yeah, so it just goes to show it makes for exciting racing, and especially when you have, I don't think these cars probably get into top gear at any stage around this circuit.
I think you hit sixth. Sorry, is it sixth? Yeah,
Down the
sixth
start
or
line.
fifth. No, just before. You don't. I don't think there. I think the corner before the final corner. That's I think the fastest point where we're seeing them now. You hit the basically top gear, and as you hit the gear, you shift down again just to help it stop the car. So I believe I was wrong. I was saying that the leaders are guys that are usually at the back. We're playing with the guys that are usually at the front, but it actually wasn't. It looks like Sean Johnson had dropped his way down. So something has happened to Sean Johnson, and he's no longer at the front. So I've been in the background doing something, and I'd actually missed that. But Gilly Silver is still in second.
From what I could pick up on the internet, after the bridge, which is the start-finish line, they go, the right-hander is Doofus Dip, what a name. Then it's that one where they get scrunched up, it doesn't really have a name. The slight left-hander, and then the next 90-degree right is McIntyre, then it's Butchers, then it's the chicane, then the short Brabham straight, then they go through the right-hander, it's not that bad of a right-hander, which is probably named after Jim Clark. Then they have the railway straight, which is that long straight piece, before they get to, it's a hairpin bend very similar to the last corner at East London, which they call Taylor's, before they back into the straight again. Now, there's another example with a competitor losing it all on his own car, number 5. I'm just trying to see who that
No,
was.
that's car number 9. That's Yandre Dupin.
9.
But he's already had a previous excursion, and I think that's his problem. He doesn't have his rear wing, so maybe he doesn't have the downforce he needs.
Yeah, and I'm just looking back. I snipped the results of race 1. He had a 3rd place finish in race 1. So this is not going to be very nice for him. And I think that car would be near undrivable without a rear wing.
Yes.
We did about it last. With the Toyotas, the rear wing actually protrude beyond the back of the car, being a hatch. Whereas with the Infinity, it's mounted on the boot. So you can potentially go into the tyre barrier with the Infinity and not lose your rear wing. But with the Toyota, it is almost every time, if you do go into the tyre barrier backwards, you will lose your rear wing. These two were at each other in race 1, and they're at each other in race 2 again, but I think the Castrol car is going to come off worse this time around.
He's definitely faster, but he got a bit too exuberant there, and unfortunately has lost out, but he's managed to at least
Gilly
keep
Silver.
the car from getting damaged.
Yeah, that's Gilly Silver, and he's going to be back at the car that, in fact, he didn't take long to catch up, so maybe the car's quick. But you've got to remember what the track allows you as well. And he's right there behind Peter. So whether he's going to take it calm this time and actually get past him, that's something different. This track certainly must keep you incredibly busy, both hands and feet, because it's gear change, turn, change of direction. See, now there's a good example where you, in theory, if you were going for, and you had the track to yourself, you would turn in there. But there was a car next to him, so he couldn't turn in. And you have to take the wider line, which is the slower line, to get around the corner.
Yeah. So we've got a fantastic battle here going for first place, and right behind them we have about a 4 or 5 car battle. So yeah, absolutely amazing racing in this race. Surprisingly, the guys were not looking forward to this. They were saying how hard this track is, but yet it's providing some really good racing.
Yeah, we had some interesting comments during the week, and I popped a link on specifically this car. Oh, there's a bit of pushing, or using, and he might just be tapped himself. Now one wonders what the system's going to allow. Car number 54 actually had lots of track to his left to allow the car that was on his inside to either pass or just to maintain position, but chose to move across the bow and then got tipped to himself. So that's Andrew Holland. He's been fighting. Oh, he's also wingless, I see now. So maybe that's why that car's not gripping.
And a nice battle brewing at the front once again, as I was mentioning. And in third place we now see Alwin getting close as the pack is slowly catching in on them. So at the moment we have Peter Murray still leading the race from Gilly Silver. Gilly must be dying to get past, as it looks like he might finally make the move. Has he got past? No, not yet.
Alwin is car number 222. He had a 10th place finish in race number 1. So certainly an interesting finish this time round if he stays on the track and avoids all the curbs. I must say number 777 there, Detroit, staying off that red curbing, and I suppose there's good reason why that curbing is painted red, because it's certainly curbing that you don't want to go over. Look at this string of cars coming down the start-finish line.
Yeah, here comes the pack.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There must be about 10 of them. Just looking back.
I think on a track like this with some smart driving.
Mistake.
The leader is off.
Yeah, I think the pressure was just too much. That was understeer at its best. The car, I'm brain in the same gear. The wheels got turned to the right, but the car just went straight. So maybe he's just been, and you did say, we said in the break, we had a chat about it, that the people that race this often, they say, it's not necessarily the tyre wear, but a big influencing factor is the driver input. So maybe there's just too much steering input, and you don't actually need all of the steering input. But yeah, that one was a straight liner of note, and that means the race leader probably now drops down to probably 13th, 14th position or thereabouts.
Yes, at the moment we have Gilly Silver leading the race.
Now Gilly Silver is number 14, finished 8th in race number 1, and about 4 or 5 seconds behind Basson in number 33, who was in 7th. Just to give you an idea where the drivers finished in race 1 compared to where they are running it now. So Gilly is one of the top 10 competitors, or was in race 1 for the standing slot, and has found himself now in the lead. And certainly combined with these two cars, that's the Gunston car and one other, again leaning across to the right. Is that necessary really with the car up on your inside with so much track available on your right? I'm not the judge of fact, but that's just my opinion as I see it happening in front of me. So one questions whether that was really necessary.
Definitely not. As we see a slow-mo of George heading down the main straight.
Yeah, he's racing, well, pretty lonely if anything else. That's car number 41. So
Not sure what happened there. And that looks like Jason Underwood. So what's happened there? Oh,
that's a touch. There's 3 of them involved, and they teammates to make it worse. And it's number 2 that Underwood just had nowhere to go and was an innocent bystander and clobbers the barriers quite hard just because of something that happened in front of him. And that's what happens, not necessarily, well, my opinion, not his fault, but he was in the right place at the wrong time and just drove straight into the scene of the accident.
yeah, unfortunately he was involved in several incidents in the previous round and obviously not going to be happy with that. That's unfortunately just how it goes sometimes.
Managed to get the car back on the road again, which is good. Is it his teammate that's off, or is that him off again? No, that's teammate that went off.
That's Aid, I believe, maybe was part of the problem, and that's maybe him giving the position back.
That's a bit of a harsh way of doing it. I'd stick to the tie if I was going to give the place back. But nonetheless, here's these two again. Here's the PZN panel beaters car, also giving the barrier a good wallop. Just see, it's just the replay of that. Is that Aid coming back onto the circuit? And then, yeah, that was actually just, again, understeer of the PZN panel beaters car. It just didn't make the corner at all. It just carried on in a straight line.
And of course we now have a battle at the front with Andre Besson catching Gilly Silver for the lead as they're now heading up to the back of Andrew Hall, of George Hall.
Oh, so is this the front 5 that we see now?
Yes, that's the pack catching up.
Yeah, so they catching up and
So Gilly flashing his lights.
Yeah, get the back mark out the way. They're racing almost equidistant, if one can use that term in racing, in that there's no challenge for position. As I say that, there's one right on the back of Gilly Silver. So this is first and second, if I'm correct, the way that we see it out of the car in second place at the moment.
Yes, and shame the back marker unfortunately heading off. I'm not sure if he would have got a tap by someone or if he's just put a foot wrong while trying to stay out of the way.
Or I'm just having a look whether one can see anything on the car.
No, he
but
just understeered.
The car again just wouldn't turn into that right hand corner.
Taking the tighter line, just carrying too much speed.
Yeah, there's certainly racing is a funny, and now stuck in the sand as well, which makes it worse. There's Andre and Gilly in the replay showing how close they are to each other, while that car still continues to try and get out of the sand trap. Tight traditional circuit this, where the sand trap certainly is a role, and when you have a car like these BTCC cars are set up, as I said before, they're probably set a little bit higher. He just lost the back end there. They set up a little bit higher than normal because of the undulation in the surface. There's another example of them using the pit exit to slingshot to the right, actually, and all within the rules, of course. Unless there's somebody coming out of the pits, then I'm not sure how they're going to handle that. But then you'd probably have to give way to the car coming out of the pits because he's legally leaving the pits. But the racing up front is very, very close and hard. They're really giving it all, and the track is making it very, very difficult for them. As also fighting for that lead is car number 99, which is Van Rijn, and he's trying to get closer. What time do you still make it there, Dennis?
1 minute 42 seconds to go. So some
Right,
interesting drivers further up, just to quickly check up on here. We have Julian Bryce in 5th place, so that's a good result so far for Julian. We have Timo Smith in 6th, he was 6th in race 1. Jason Underwood has managed to keep going and he's currently in 7th place. Brandon Roberts in 8th place. Sean Johnson in 11th.
Julian was 12th in race 1, so he's actually having a stunning race too.
Yes. We know with the way the positions were, the guys could defend for a while until eventually the packing up. And obviously Gilly Silver out front, so that's a fantastic result for Gilly.
Yeah. And Gilly had an 8th, so an 8th and potentially a 1st. That might be a good result for him overall.
Yes, I think that might even be a top 3 overall.
Yeah, some of the big names are not in the top 5 at the moment, so the combined results will be very interesting.
Yeah, so some of the guys that did well in race 1 that didn't in race 2 would be Andre Duppenaar. He was podium in race 1 and unfortunately having incidents in this, so down in 16th place. But we have Basil van Rijn, who had obviously the victory in race 1 and currently in 3rd place.
That's a good, I think that might be the race or the podium P1.
And Jean-Andre de Toy is just behind him.
Do you think this is the last lap, or do you think it'll be one more?
20 seconds to go. I presume it's the last lap. Let's see where our leader actually is at the moment. So this will be our last lap.
I'll actually watch them cross the line, and just after that I'll ask you. And if this is probably what, a 40, I didn't look at this qualifying times, but they probably get 50 something seconds.
Yeah, okay. low 50s, 50 yes. Point something, yeah. So that is Gilly coming across the line, yes. Flag. Gilly taking his first victory of the season from Andre Besson. Basil van Rijn taking 3rd place. As we see Timo Smith coming across the line in 5th place with Julian. He's managed to get past Julian, so Julian taking 6th place. Right behind them we see Andre Hildebrandt, but that's not for position, but behind was Jason Underwood in 7th.
Oh, a bounce there, that Castrol car, number 14, that Gilly sold the race winner.
And 8 Allen now 8th place from Brandon Robert behind him. We see a slow-mo there of, I believe that's Monet.
Yes, one of the Boeing cars. Yeah, there's that one left, right, or have I got it right? Regardless, that you have on the racing line, those red curbing. In the one instance, they're on the one set of wheels, and virtually immediately thereafter, they're on the other set of wheels. So I would think that it's the best practice to avoid them completely, because if you're going to clip them on the first part of that chicane, that's going to disrupt the car completely, and you're going to hit them on the second part, which is going to unbalance the car completely. But it's all crying over spilt milk now, because that's this race all run. And Knockhill, as tight as it is, as short and narrow as what it is, certainly exciting racing it has produced.
Indeed. Alright, so let's head to an ad break. I'll go find our drivers, work out our top 3, and we'll be back as soon as we know the results. So stay with us, we'll be back with you shortly. All right, welcome back, everyone. So we are here for our interviews. That's the end of round 3 from Knockhill. It was an exciting round. Of course, I'm a commentator, Dennis Mitchell, joined once again by Sean Woodgate. So we'll be doing the interviews with our top 3 drivers tonight, which we have someone new in the top 3, which is good to see. A fantastic race meeting overall from a track that everyone was expecting the worst from. But yet we've had a really exciting round. At the moment, I am showing the wrong thing on here. I'm not sure why, but let me just put this up. So let's get that up there. We have our top 3 at the moment. We have Basil van Rijn in first overall, Jean-Louis de Toy second overall, and Gilly Silver third overall. So let's start with Basil. Perhaps tonight, Sean, you could ask the questions.
Basil, you actually laid the foundation in race 1 by winning it and then having a very, very good finish in the second race. The second race to me, well, I joined about 3 laps in or 4 laps in race 1. Standing start, it was the normal, the quicker guys were in the lead and the guys that were at the back stayed at the back. But the second race with a rolling start certainly made for exciting stuff, and you had a good finish, although not a win for the second, but good enough to take the win overall. How much work was that in race 2?
Yes, it was a lot of concentration. The guys, I just went into like a limp mode thing. I just hang, and I mean, John Ray, we were talking in the chat. I told him, listen, if you want to come, you can come, but let's hang a bit. And yes, the guys made some mistakes. So yeah, we did some passes on them, and I think Jason and someone collided in front of us. So I think it was 3 cars, just after the main shed. So yeah, that was hectic. But I must say, Andre and Gilly in front, I had some good pace. I was catching, but yes, no, the pace was nice.
Yeah, and Genre, I need to hear from you. Did you guys choose to number your cars with Boeing aircraft types, or is that just coincidental?
No, that's just coincidental.
Because you actually do get a Boeing 737 and a 777. So I was just wondering about that. But exciting racing for you as well. You had a second place finish in race number 1, which also obviously means that with a good finish in race 2, you're on the podium. And did you also experience that getting past or through the field and trying to keep it clean? That's the most important logical thing to do to actually get a good finish overall.
Yeah, especially second race, because I've had some bad luck with second races. So I just stayed behind Basil, and we just waited for everyone to take each other out or make a mistake, and we just try and pass cleanly. And yeah, it worked well. I think I was getting a bit worried because I saw it was 10 minutes left, and we were still like, I think, 10th or something. So I knew we had some catching up to do to catch them before time runs out.
And then you, Gilly, a win in race 2, and I've just got to have a look. You had an 8th in the first race, but you're on the podium. And certainly, with everything that happened in front of you, a nice way to finish the day, I'm sure.
Yeah, look. Race 1 was difficult. I remember practicing in the week, and the times weren't that quick, or the top 3 guys. And I was like, yo, when I logged on, I was like, wow, okay, I've got my work cut out here. But yeah, race 1 was good. It was fun. But race 2 was a different story. I really. Peter is a defender of note. I was cooking my tires trying to pass that man. So yeah, he's a very good defender to have on the track. But yeah, it was good. I was really looking at my mirror the whole time, and I could see people catching. So yeah, I knew I needed to make a move in a corner. But yeah, luckily we kept it clean, and it was good racing. It was really fun. The rolling start. It was a good race.
Yeah, and as we were saying, the rolling start was really well executed. Gilly, while I'm with you, give me your opinion. There's that one chicane that you guys go through that has red curbing. You either put one set of wheels on the red curbing going in, and if you unbalance the car, the wheels will be on the red curbing on the second part of the chicane. Is that red curbing as woos as what it looks to what we could see?
Look, if you kind of have to brake just before you enter it, and if you time it correctly, you actually hop so nice that you kind of position your car so you just over the second one. But yeah, I was a bit sneaky on the thing because I knew I had a lot of points left So I knew here and there I could cut it through to pull the bigger gap. So yeah, it wasn't the best type of clean driving, but I used it to my advantage a little bit to make a bigger gap. But yeah, it does. If you catch it wrong, it will very much take you off into the dirt.
Yeah, and is it just my imagination, or are there, well, in the second race, one or two corners, and it just happened to be right-handers, and that's where Peter lost it. Is that corner as difficult as what it looks when your tires are that late into the race and you have very little grip remaining?
Yeah, so you kind of have to brake a little bit earlier before you actually enter going down towards that corner that you're talking about. I mean, if you're too hard on your brakes, you're just going to lock up and you're just going to slide straight. That's exactly what happened. So I kind of knew if I just kept on pressing him, something would happen or give eventually. But yeah, you really have to either change your brake bias or change your brake markers the later in the race, because the car, especially the Toyotas, they do not handle like they do in the first 10 minutes or 5 minutes. It becomes a very difficult car to drive. Actually, like on my steering, I can actually feel the steering just get lighter and lighter and lighter as the laps go down. So yeah, but fun car to drive.
Yeah, great stuff. And thank you guys for, first of all, for a great start, and then also for a very interesting finish. And also well done for the win on a race, and also to be on the podium, Gilly.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, over to you.
All right, well then you've pretty much asked everything, so let's do our final words for the evening. So let's ask Basil if you have any shout-outs and any final words you'd like to say.
Oh, yes, Dennis, just big thanks to all the sponsors, Alwin, PZN, and then just correct me, what is Jason's dad's place name?
Oh, I've just got a blank on it.
Okay, but the auto shop
Yes,
from
sorry.
Jason Underwood. Sorry, guys, I forgot the name. And Jason, just to you, man, for all the hard work, keeping the service up. I mean, tonight was something different with the two servers, but yeah, it works perfectly. And to Sean, thanks for helping out in the commentating. And then to my team, Jandre, Peter, Andre, all of them. Thank you, guys. It's always a pleasure. And I'm finished. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. And it's JU Autos for everyone that didn't get that.
Sorry, I'll go learn it.
I'd have to go and double check. And then, Jandre, any final words and shout outs from your point of view?
Just thanks to you guys. Thanks for hosting the event. Thanks to the commentators to make the streams more enjoyable to watch. And a shout out to everyone racing. I think the second race was a lot cleaner than last time. There were incidents, but it felt much better than the last time. So yeah, well done to anyone.
It's a pleasure, and yes, definitely agree. The incidents that we saw tonight were more race incidents rather than the incidents we had the previous round. And considering this is probably the toughest race that you guys are going to go through, and everyone was worried about it being so tight, it actually ended up being one of the most enjoyable races from a race 2 point of view. So yeah, it was really good racing from everyone. And the first lap was completely clean, so that was also really amazing driving. And then over to Gilly. Gilly, your turn. Any shout-outs and final words?
Oh yeah, I'm a lone wolf in the team standings, unfortunately. So yeah, just a shout out to you guys. Thanks for making a great stream and making it fun to watch afterwards, because that's always a fun thing to look out for once the race is finished, to go look at how the full race went from everyone's perspective.
It's always a pleasure.
Thanks to you guys.
Okay, thanks, Gilly. I'm just removing everyone, so I'll chat to you guys later. All right, so it's just Sean and I left. So that's the end of the round.
It's actually nice to hear them actually being excited that the race started that well and they had so much fun.
Well, I think that's the difference. When you have a good round, it pumps everyone up. It gets you excited. After the last round, everyone was obviously very down and not happy with the way that things went. Tonight, we had guys having results that don't usually have the results. We had Julian Bryce getting a 6th place in race 2. We had Gilly getting a victory in race 2. We had Sean Johnson sitting there in 2nd for the majority of the race. These guys are going to get the results somewhere along there.
Sorry, Peter, as they say, with that incredibly wide car that was leading for a long spot, and then from what I can hear, he just got his brakes wrong and locked up, and just, as they said, then at that specific corner, you're just going to go straight.
But
And
this is the thing that makes this championship so good. It gives the opportunity. It's a racing championship. It's not about speed. It's about racing. There was a
Yes.
race in MotoGP, a famous race with Rossi and Stoner at Laguna Seca. A lot of people might remember that. Stoner got pole position by a second from Rossi, yet Rossi was able to beat him in the race by using pure racecraft, and we're starting to see that here. Peter Murray, defending for all his worth. He doesn't have the pace, but he sure knows how to make a car wide.
Yeah. And again, we've spoken about this previously. The big difference of being the quickest in qualifying, and maybe Brad Binder is a good example of that. He just doesn't qualify well, but he races well.
Yeah.
And I think he got a 7th or an 8th today. But here it was definitely you've got to first finish to finish first. And in this case, you don't necessarily have to finish first, but you've got to get to the finish to actually get points to come into consideration for getting combined podium positioning. And you can hear, well, a nice name like Guilherme Silva. He's probably Portuguese, but he sounds as if he's an Afrikaans Portuguese. He's absolutely bubbling. He is overflowing with excitement.
Yeah, a great round for him.
Yeah. And 8th only in the first race, but I say only with the respect that he gets, but now for him to go from there and with a reverse grid, he actually had to get through a lot of the field to actually win the race. Okay, a lot of things happened in front of him as well, but very nice to see that a guy that isn't used to winning races, as you say, it now becomes a championship that even the guys at the back of the field have a good chance of winning a race.
This is why I think race or series like this around the world are popular. These sort of clubman style races and races that have reverse grids and all these odd mixed up grids. It makes for good racing. And at the end of the day, any racing driver wants a good race. You don't want to just go out there, do hot lapping and just never see anyone. You want to have good racing. You want to be side by side and pushing the limits and enjoying it and having that exciting, enthralling battle. And the guys are getting it now. And the guys that are at the back of the field are even getting it. So everyone seems to have a chance. As long as you stay clean and you make sure you're there at the end, you're going to have a lot of excitement. And as we head through the season, we're going to have, I'm sure, more of these odd results. And it's going to just make it so exciting for the drivers and make them just look forward to the next round and probably be very upset when it's finally over.
Do you have an idea whether it's made a change to the top 3? The results that you have now, whether it's knocked out the top 3 around a little bit?
So at the moment, we have Basil van Rijn now in first. He was in second. So Jean-Louis de Toy has now dropped from first to second. They were tied on 22 points apiece. Basil is now on 59 from 57 from Jean-Andre. And Andrew Holland is now up to third. And Jason Underwood is still fourth. So, yeah, quite a change. Bit of a mixed match there. So Andrew up to third. Jason is still fourth. Andre Besson is now fifth. And Gilly Silva has now worked his way up to sixth overall in the championship.
Well, if you think any championship that has 8 rounds, after round 3, first and second is split by 2 points. That's absolutely a stunning result.
Yes.
For the championship. Now everything's still to race for.
And at the moment, the way the championship is set, it's dropping their 3 worst race results. So at the moment, I can see that they're currently on 59 points and 57 points. But I can see if we didn't drop their results, they would both be tied on 79 points apiece. That's how close it is. They're on the exact same points after 6 rounds, 6 races.
Yes. Yeah, that makes it very interesting. And as if you just do the maths, 2 points is nothing. If you have one, well, you can discard a bad race. But I think the idea is to actually finish well in all of them. And then you sit with a predicament of which of the less good races, if one can call them that, you discard. Or does the system take your worst result and discard it automatically going as you progress along?
It will automatically take away. So at the moment, there are 6 races completed, but it only shows the best 3 races results so far. So that could be race 1 from Donington, race 1 from Silverstone, and race 1 from Knockhill, or it could be, whatever.
1, 2, and 1, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Gilly would obviously keep the race that he raced tonight. Yes. And then the 2 best others that he has thus far out of the 6.
So Gilly, for example, he missed the Silverstone round, so those races are dropped, and he got a 0 points from the first round at Donington, so that gets dropped.
Okay.
So he gets his 8 points from tonight for race 1, first 21 points for race 2 for leading the race and for winning, and you get an extra point for leading, whereas normally it's 20 for the win, and 13 points for the very first round at Donington.
So where has he jumped from and to after tonight in the championship?
Let me grab that up and we can have a quick look at that. So before this round, Gilly was in 11th place. So he's gone from 11th up till 6th.
That's a major jump from. So he's going to be stoked.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the first of really a good example that you've got to be there right to the end. And I can't remember his exact choice of words, but is that he mentioned something in the terms of he had to just wait it out and let the others make mistakes so that he was sure that he's there at the end.
Yeah.
And still competitive. So
playing the smart waiting game.
Yeah, very interesting comment that he made there.
So
Great.
That's probably the end of it. Just to also catch up on the losers from this round. So at the moment we have Aid Allen, who was 5th in the championship, Chris Collison, who was 6th in the championship. They've dropped right down. Chris is now down to 9th and Aid is now down to 10th as a result of the bad results tonight.
I think Aid was one of the guys that did one of the squeeze maneuvers and then took himself out as a result.
Yes. So unfortunately having a bit of bad luck, but he had the pace, he was up there, and unfortunately it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah. But yeah, that's also, maybe if they look at the replay, they'll see that was not the right thing to do at the time.
Yeah, definitely not.
Interesting to hear that the guys actually go back and look at the replay.
I think they learn a lot from it, and sometimes watching yourself, you also realize that the incidents that you think were not your fault, you sometimes realize that you were a part in it. So it's always good to watch, and you get a different perspective on the race.
Do they actually hear also the commentary that I've actually passed the link on to, I have a friend in Slovakia. I said I'm not commentating live anymore, I'm doing some race commentary. And what is his words back? He says, because I don't like the sound of my own voice, first of all. And he said, no, your voice sounds good and you sound very knowledgeable on the subject matter.
Yes.
So I wonder if I suppose hopefully nobody takes offense at what we say because we try and say it in a nice way. But the 2 squeezes that we did see tonight, maybe they'll go back and look at those and say, I agree, maybe I was a little bit out of bounds there.
Stewards will definitely have their say on that as well.
Yeah, especially on a straight. It's different in a corner where you might be nose ahead, then you expect the guy behind you to give a little way, but in a straight you don't move across on the car, especially when there's so much track to the other side that you can actually just stay middle of the road and still allow him to get past or not, and fight it out in the corner or somewhere else on the circuit.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you have to leave a car's width, and there weren't cars widths left, so that's the issue.
Yeah, and that, as I say, in those 2 incidents that we saw and commented on, that there was so much, 2 cars could have passed to the left of them on both occasions.
Yeah.
So, great stuff. Thanks again, Dennis.
All right, before we head off, and let's remind everyone that this was round 3 from Knockhill, and next week we'll be here for round 4 from Thruxton. So another interesting track. It's quite a fast-flowing track with 1 or 2 sort of tightish corners, but that should also be quite a fun track for the guys, and I think that might be a track that's going to lie to the Infinity strengths, which is, I think, more the acceleration in the top end. So
interesting. Just as a closing comment from my side, the Toyota driver is saying that if you manhandle the car, then it becomes almost impossible to drive in the last quarter of the race. So interesting comment there.
Yes. But all right, then that's it for us tonight. So thank you again, Sean, for the excellent commentary, and always a pleasure to comment with you.
No, pleasure's all mine. Thank you very much.
And then we'll catch everyone next week. Thank you again to Alwin Automotive Glass. So if you have any automotive glass or aluminium requirements, you can head over to www.alwin.co.za. And remember, if you're enjoying what you're watching, to hit the like and subscribe button. That goes a long way to keeping us going. So thank you once again to everyone for watching and taking part. This has been a fantastic round, and so far race 2 has been my favorite race of the season. So looking forward to next week. We'll catch you all then. Good evening.
Thank you. Good night.